Every single time NASA opens its application window, over 12,000 highly qualified professionals submit their resumes. Out of that massive pool, the selection committee typically chooses about 10 people to join the next class. That translates to an acceptance rate of roughly 0.08%. This chart tracks the exact chronological roadmap you need to follow to beat those odds. We are going to trace the specific steps required to get from a first-grade classroom desk all the way to the Launchpad, a strict progression that takes nearly 30 years to complete. Before you even begin planning those decades, there is a hard legal baseline. You must be a United States citizen to fly for NASA. If you are starting this journey from outside the US, your mandatory first step is moving to the country, securing a green card, and obtaining naturalized citizenship. Assuming you meet that legal requirement, the path forward is highly structured. Earning a seat on a spacecraft does not happen by accident. It requires executing a long-term strategy of engineered professional excellence. The first phase starts in childhood and runs through high school. If you are between the ages of 6 and 18, your objective is not actually to study space directly. Your objective is to build the cognitive and physical baseline that the space agency demands. In the classroom, you need to target the most rigorous STEM courses your school offers. The selection board screens for extreme proficiency in advanced physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Spaceflight involves operating inside a volatile physics environment, so you need the math skills to understand those forces. Outside of class, you have to prove you can actually construct and repair hardware. You should be joining robotics clubs, enrolling in coding camps, or entering science exhibitions. When life support systems break 250 miles above Earth, you are the mechanic. You also need to develop a lifelong habit of physical conditioning. Specifically, you need to get in the water. Regular swimming builds the exact lung capacity and muscle endurance required for zero-gravity underwater training later in your career. The final childhood requirement is psychological. You must join organized sports teams or groups like the Scouts. NASA explicitly rejects lone wolf personalities. If you cannot support a team under stressful conditions, you are a liability to the crew. By the time you graduate high school, your resume should already show a clear pattern. You have an inherent ability to solve complex technical problems, and you know how to support a team under pressure. Next is the university phase, where NASA draws a hard line in the sand. A standard 4-year bachelor's degree is no longer enough to get your application reviewed. You must earn a master's degree. This table breaks down the acceptable fields of study. You must major in one of 4 categories: engineering, biological sciences, physical sciences, or computer science and mathematics. Degrees in arts, humanities, or social sciences will automatically disqualify you. While earning that master's degree, there is a strict hidden requirement. You need to maintain a top-tier GPA. Academic excellence is one of the primary filters the committee uses to thin out the thousands of applications during the initial screening round. Securing a STEM master's degree with top marks is your ticket to entry. It marks the transition from being a student to becoming a specialized expert in your field. After graduation, you enter the professional gauntlet. Spanning your mid-20s into your early 30s, you must accumulate a minimum of 3 years of world-class operational experience. Candidates generally choose one of 2 paths. Track A is the civilian scientist route. As seen at this isolated Antarctic research station, the selection board does not want standard office work. They require professionals leading high-level field research in extreme environments, like deep-sea diving expeditions or polar science missions. If you take this civilian route, here is a highly actionable tip. Obtain your private pilot's license and become a certified rescue scuba diver. This proves to the review board that you already know how to operate safely in high-risk, 3-dimensional spaces. Track B is the military pilot route. If your goal is to fly the spacecraft, you must graduate from an elite military test pilot school and accumulate at least 1,000 flight hours as pilot in command in jet aircraft. This F-22 jet performing a high-speed maneuver highlights a strict caveat. At least 850 flight hours must be in high-performance military jets. You have to prove you can process complex data while pulling intense G-forces. The underlying rule for both tracks is simple. NASA does not hire people who just want to go to space. They hire elite operators who have already mastered real-world, high-stakes environments here on Earth. When you finally submit your application in your late 20s or early 30s, you face the long-duration flight physical. Your vision must be correctable to 20/20 in both eyes, and your resting blood pressure cannot exceed 140/90. This is the Johnson Space Center campus in Houston. If you survive the medical cuts and the week-long interviews, you become one of the top 10 or 12 finalists selected for the Astronaut Candidate, or ASCAN program, and you relocate here. This is the massive indoor pool at the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. A major component of your 2-year training program is mastering extravehicular activity. You will spend hundreds of hours submerged, learning to operate tools in a spacesuit around mock-ups of the space station. You will also log hours in this NASA T-38 supersonic trainer jet to practice rapid decision-making and crew coordination. Simultaneously, you will take intensive Russian language classes to ensure you can communicate with cosmonauts and operate the international segments of the station. Successfully completing these 2 years of ASCAN training is the final filter. It provides the ultimate proof that you can endure the cognitive overload and the physical punishment demanded by actual spaceflight. This view of an astronaut floating against the curvature of the Earth represents the ultimate culmination of the process. Upon graduation, you receive your official silver astronaut pin and become eligible for assignment to the International Space Station or Artemis missions to the Moon. Looking back at this 30-year roadmap, there is one final piece of expert advice to remember. Do not live your life simply waiting to go to space. This image of an astronaut working comfortably inside the ISS cupola grounds the reality of the job. True astronaut material requires becoming so undeniably exceptional in your current STEM field that NASA actively realizes they need your specific expertise in orbit. If mapping out this timeline was helpful, hit the subscribe button below.